No, I actually like Caitlin, and I'm just being real and truthful. She has brought millions. I wouldn't be surprised if it's billions.
Breaking news that's about to rock the basketball world. Sophie Cunningham just dropped a bombshell about Caitlin Clark that the WNBA definitely doesn't want you to hear. What she revealed isn't just shocking, it's terrifying for the future of women's basketball. And if you love Caitlin Clark and want to see justice for what's been happening to her, smash that like button to 100 likes right now, because what you're about to hear will change everything you thought you knew about the WNBA. For 73 days, basketball fans have been asking the same question. Where is Caitlin Clark? The woman who single-handedly transformed women's basketball, who brought millions of new fans to the WNBA, who broke every rookie record imaginable, has been mysteriously absent from the court. The official story? A groin injury. Day-to-day status updates. Vague medical reports. But Sophie Cunningham, Clark's teammate and self-proclaimed protector, just shattered that narrative with one devastating statement. She could be playing right now if this league actually protected its stars. Those words should send chills down every basketball fan's spine. Because Sophie isn't just talking about one injury. She's exposing a pattern of systematic failure that goes straight to the top of the WNBA. Sophie Cunningham has never been one to bite her tongue. The 28-year-old guard has been fined over $3,000 this season alone for speaking out against referees. She's been warned, threatened, and even suspended for defending her teammates. But nothing has stopped her from telling the truth. And the truth, according to Sophie, is uglier than anyone imagined. Every game, I watched Caitlin get targeted, Sophie revealed in an explosive interview. Hip checks, hard fouls, intentional contact, and the refs just look the other way. Meanwhile, other players get breathed on and it's a flagrant foul. The most shocking part? Sophie claims she has documentation. Video evidence. A pattern of officiating bias that she says proves the WNBA has been failing to protect its biggest star. I started keeping receipts after the third game where Caitlin got hammered with no calls, Sophie continued. By mid-season, I had enough evidence to write a book about referee bias in this league. Let's examine what Sophie is really claiming here, because the timeline is devastating. June 15th, Clark takes a hard elbow to the ribs from Dijonai Carrington. No flagrant called. Clark plays through obvious pain. June 28th, Chennedy Carter delivers a shoulder check that sends Clark sprawling. The refs call it a common foul. Social media explodes with outrage. July 3rd, Clark gets poked in the eye during a drive to the basket. Plays continue. No review. No protection. July 15th, the final straw. Multiple hard fouls in one game, culminating in the groin injury that ended her season. Sophie literally chipped her tooth defending Clark during the ensuing scuffle. 4 separate incidents that should have been flagrant fouls, Sophie stated. 4 times the league failed to protect Caitlin, and now they're shocked that she's injured? Perhaps Sophie's most explosive allegation involves what she calls the conspiracy of silence within the WNBA. Other players know what's happening, Sophie revealed. Coaches know. Even some referees have admitted privately that there's inconsistent officiating. But everyone's scared to speak up because the league retaliates against truth tellers. Sophie's own experience proves this point. For every statement she's made defending Clark, she's been fined. For every social media post calling out bias, she's been threatened with suspension. The message is clear: shut up or pay up. They fined me $500 for a TikTok that was obviously a joke about referee bias, Sophie said. Meanwhile, players are literally injuring other players with no consequences. The priorities of this league are completely backwards. But Sophie's most serious allegation is that the WNBA has been deliberately covering up the extent of Clark's injuries to protect the league's image. The official injury report says groin strain, Sophie stated. But that's not the full story. Caitlin has been dealing with multiple issues caused by the constant physical punishment she's taken all season. Sophie claims Clark is actually dealing with a persistent back pain from repeated hard fouls, shoulder issues from being shoved off screens. The groin injury that officially ended her season, what Sophie describes as psychological trauma from the constant targeting. She's not just physically hurt, Sophie revealed in her most emotional moment. She's mentally exhausted from playing in a league that won't protect her, that won't stand up for her, that treats her like a target instead of a treasure. The financial implications of Clark's absence are staggering, and Sophie isn't holding back on exposing them. Ronsark. Jersey sales down 70% from their Clark-era peaks. Attendance at Fever games dropped by over 50%. ESPN reportedly considering reducing their WNBA coverage investment. Multiple corporate sponsors asking questions about their partnerships. This league was built on Caitlin's star power this year, Sophie stated bluntly. Now they're learning what happens when you don't protect your investment, when you let jealousy and politics override good business sense. But Sophie's revelations go even deeper than just referee bias. She's now claiming there's an organized effort within certain WNBA circles to diminish Caitlin Clark's impact on the league. Some people in this league never wanted Caitlin to succeed, Sophie alleged in her most controversial statement yet. They saw her popularity, her impact, her ability to bring in new fans, and instead of celebrating it, they resented it. According to Sophie, this resentment manifests in multiple ways. The veteran player's cold shoulder. Sophie claims several veteran players have intentionally excluded Clark from team bonding activities and league social events. She's been isolated by players who should be welcoming her into the sisterhood, Sophie revealed. The media manipulation. Sophie alleges that certain WNBA personalities have been feeding negative stories about Clark to media outlets, trying to paint her as overhyped or not ready for the professional level. The social media campaign. Most shocking of all, Sophie claims there's been a coordinated social media effort to diminish Clark's achievements, with some players and their associates spreading doubt about her statistics and impact. They can't handle that a 23-year-old rookie changed the entire conversation around women's basketball, Sophie stated. So instead of elevating their own games, they tried to tear hers down. Sophie has also exposed what she calls the real conversations happening in WNBA locker rooms across the league. Players talk, Sophie revealed, and what they're saying behind closed doors is very different from their public statements. According to Sophie, multiple players from other teams have privately expressed concern about the treatment Clark has received, but fear speaking out publicly due to potential backlash from teammates and league officials. I've had players from at least 6 different teams text me support, Sophie claimed. They see what's happening, they know it's wrong, but they're scared to say anything because this league has a history of punishing players who rock the boat. Sophie specifically mentioned conversations with players who witnessed the July 15th incident and were shocked that more flagrant fouls weren't called. Even players on the opposing team were telling their teammates to back off because it was getting out of hand, she revealed. But perhaps most damning is Sophie's claim that some veteran players have been actively coaching younger players on how to get away with targeting Clark. There are players teaching others where the blind spots are, how to make contact look accidental, how to frustrate her without getting called for it, Sophie alleged. It's systematic, it's intentional, and it's destroying the integrity of the game. But perhaps Sophie's most explosive allegation involves the business side of the WNBA. She claims certain league sponsors and partners have been pressured to reduce their association with Clark-focused marketing. Companies that wanted to build campaigns around Caitlin were told it might not be in their best interest for league relationships, Sophie alleged. The very people who should be capitalizing on her popularity were being discouraged from doing so. Sophie suggests this is part of a larger effort to prevent any single player from becoming too big for the league, even if that player is bringing unprecedented attention and revenue. They'd rather have a smaller, more controlled league than a bigger league where one player has significant influence, Sophie claimed. It's short-sighted, it's petty, and it's costing everyone money. According to Sophie, at least 3 major brands have scaled back Clark-focused campaigns after receiving guidance from league officials, despite those campaigns showing strong market response. Sophie has also been tracking what she calls the Great Fan Exodus, the massive loss of viewership and engagement that followed Clark's injury. I've been keeping detailed records, Sophie revealed. Social media engagement for WNBA content is down 73%
Sophie
since
Cunningham was targeted.
Ticket sales for non-fever games have dropped by over 40%. Merchandise sales have collapsed. But more than just numbers, Sophie claims to have documented evidence of fans publicly stating they're done with the WNBA because of how Clark has been treated. I have screenshots of thousands of fans saying they're boycotting the league until Caitlin is properly protected, Sophie stated. These aren't casual fans. These are people who bought season tickets, who bought jerseys, who brought their daughters to games, and now they're walking away. Sophie argues this fan exodus proves her point about the league's misplaced priorities. They were so worried about one player getting too popular that they drove away the millions of fans she brought in. It's the definition of cutting off your nose to spite your face. So there you have it. Sophie Cunningham has laid bare what she claims is a systematic failure at the highest levels of the WNBA. A league that talks about empowering women, but silences the ones who speak truth to power. A league that markets itself on star power, but fails to protect its biggest stars. The question now is, will the WNBA listen to Sophie's warnings and make real changes? Or will they continue down a path that could destroy everything Caitlin Clark helped build? If you believe Caitlin Clark deserves better, if you want to see real change in the WNBA, if you love women's basketball and want to see it succeed, hit that like button and let's get to 100 likes. Share this video and make sure the WNBA knows that fans are watching, fans are angry, and fans demand justice. The future of women's basketball might depend on it.